Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. As we know, the second banner phase in Honkai Star Rail is coming up soon. I know some of you are currently confused and eager to hear my personal advice on which character to choose, as many of you asked me about this on my previous videos. So I thought I need to share my thoughts on this. As it happens, there's rumor going around that fans are unhappy about the drop in the tier list for our character, Acheron. So in this video we will talk about the two characters that will be rerun in the second phase, Acheron and Aventurine. Are they still worth taking right now? So without further ado, let's get into it. Do you have a character or weapon in the game that you really want but you don't have enough Stellar Jade? Here is a smarter way to recharge your favorite games like Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. Look no further than Loot Bar. Loot Bar is the most reliable top-up platform. It saves up to 20% for all orders compared with the official channel, and it provides an 5% off for your first purchase. It's 100% safe as you will only be using your UID. We will buy pack for 3,000 Stellar Jades for $42, which otherwise would have costed $50, totally saving $7.5. We received the crystals we purchased in less than 3 minutes. All recharge will be done through the official channel with MiHoYo, which allows you to enjoy all top-up offers. Ready to level up your gaming experience? Check the link in the description to get the amazing discount. Okay, let's start with Acheron. Before I give my recommendation, let's talk about the overall kit and performance about this character first. In a nutshell, Acheron is one of the strongest characters on the game right now. She can do a lot of damage, can be used for almost all content in this game, and lastly, she looks really cool. It's no surprise that this character is often used as a reference when a new character is released in Honkai Star Rail. However, as with other existing characters, Acheron also has its own set of advantages and disadvantages. One downside is that this character works best with other Nihility characters, since her traces will increase the damage she can do if she has other Nihility characters on her team. If you're new to the game and planning to take Acheron in the next phase, you will need to have at least 1 or 2 Nihility units in your account. Some of you might wondering which Nihility character is the best for Acheron, right? Currently, Jiaochu is the best choice, hands down. Okay, I'm sure not everyone watching this video has Jiaochu, but don't worry, there are other characters you can use instead. Bella, Guinevere, Silver Wolf, and Welt are all good options. Okay, so now we will look at the second Acheron shortcoming. If you're looking to take Acheron to the next level, it's important to understand that it's a team that requires significant investment to operate at its full potential. It's not just about the 2 Nihility units. There are other things you need to make this team perform better. What is it? If you pair Acheron with 2 Nihility, you will already see your team perform well. However, the team still has some room for improvement. If you're new to playing this game, you should know that Acheron is a character that's a bit different from the others. The main difference is in how she activates her ultimate. Other characters use the energy system, but Acheron needs debuffs to add stacks to be able to activate her ultimate. If you succeed in giving 9 debuffs to the enemy, then Acheron can only activate her ultimate. This mechanic has its own pros and cons, of course, but it's important to understand that if you're not fast enough to debuff the enemy, Acheron can't give the ultimate quickly, which means your team's damage output will suffer. I know this is all a lot to take in, so I'll try to break it down for you. What do you think is needed to optimize Acheron to be better? Here's a general list of what you need to create a better Acheron team. First, if you're looking to ramp up Acheron's damage output, your best bet is to improve her Eidolons. If you have Eidolon 2 for Acheron, it will make a big impact on her kit. For instance, Eidolon 1 will give you an extra critical rate when you're attacking enemies with debuffs. This additional critical rate is really important for Acheron. This lets you pursue higher critical damage, which increases her damage output. On top of that, Eidolon 2 Acheron gets a 160% damage increase through her traces with just 1 Nihility, and each turn gains 1 ultimate stack. Isn't that exciting? Absolutely. That's why so many people are trying to get Eidolon 2 from this character. Next, I'd like to mention the special light cone called Along the Passing Shore. This light cone has a lot of different effects, but overall it will give you more damage output and you can get 1 stack of debuffs every time you do an attack. I highly recommend this light cone because based on data from PrideRain.gg, this light cone outperforms all other light cone by a pretty significant margin, even up to 25% damage output compared to 4-star light cones like Boundless Choreo and Good Night and Sleep Well. Apart from the dedicated light cone, you will also need some light cone for other Nihility characters on your team. Some of the light cone you will need are Resolution Shines as Sweat Pearls and also before the tutorial mission starts. These 2 light cones are very important light icons to give to the nightly characters on Acheron's team, so that they can make Acheron's stack grow faster. Aside from the 3 points I mentioned earlier, you also need to have a sustain that is suitable for Acheron's guys. For now, if you are a free-to-play players, you need Gallagher as your sustain. Why? Because Gallagher is one of the supports that can debuff the enemies. Thanks to his ultimate and his enhanced basic attack, Gallagher has at least 2 kits that can add stacks of Acheron, allowing Acheron to cast her ultimate faster. Aside from Gallagher, you can also use other sustains, such as Fusuan and Aventurine. These 2 characters provide debuffs and buffs that match Acheron's. And for the last one, well, what else if not Jiaochu? Actually, Acheron can work quite well without Jiaochu right now, but with Jiaochu on your team, your Acheron can cast an ultimate every cycle, which will certainly be different from those of you who only use Bella as the nightly character on your team. I know, Acheron does require a bit more investment and time if you start from the beginning, especially if you're just getting started with the game. But don't worry, if you already have everything you need, you will see that the performance of Acheron is really impressive. One of the great things about Acheron is that you can use this character in all types of contents. Her high damage output makes her a great choice for carrying your account. On top of that, she has some great techniques that allow her to instantly kill enemies, which makes farming much easier because you don't need to enter the battle. So, is this character worth taking? I've had Acheron since its release, and I'm still amazed at the damage she produces. She's not the best unit in all conditions, but she can finish most of the game, so you shouldn't hesitate to pick her up, especially if you need an excellent DPS character to finish your game. Alright, next up is Aventurine. Do I still need to go over why this character is so great? Overall, Aventurine is a character with a very solid set of skills. Even in some of the most reliable rankings, this character consistently ranks in the meta tier for all kinds of endgames. Isn't that impressive? To be honest, there's not much I can add about this character because I'm sure you're already familiar with his overall kit. But don't worry, I'll try to give you a quick overview for those of you planning to take this character in the second phase. If you're new to this game, you might not know that the Hoyoverse can a bit anti-path preservation. Why? Over the course of the game's release, from version 1.0 to patch 2.6, only 2 limited characters have path preservation, which is Fusuan and Aventurine. Unfortunately, it's clear that the preservation path has the fewest characters compared to other paths. On top of that, I've heard that Hoyoverse doesn't plan to release any more characters with path preservation in patch 3.x. The Hoyoverse's reluctance to create another character with a preservation path has different meanings among fans. Some players believe the Hoyoverse is focusing on other paths, while others feels it's challenging to create a preservation character with a kit as good as or better than Aventurine, given that Aventurine has a kit that's almost perfect for a tanker. Yes, Aventurine is an excellent choice for a tanker character. He can easily create a very thick shield through his skills. Plus, every time he makes a counterattack through his talent, he will automatically add another shield on top of the existing one. What's really interesting is that all characters with a shield will get an additional resistant effect, making it very difficult for any characters in the party to be debuffed by the enemies. I think you will find this very interesting, of course. If you're currently using Gepard, you might notice that these 2 characters have a similar set of abilities. However, there's a key difference. Gepard can only activate his shield through the ultimate, which sometimes means we die before the shield is ready to go. Did you know that Aventurine can also be support for Acheron in addition to being a tanker? Yes, if you have a dedicated Lycon named Inherently Unjust Destiny, you can use it with the counterattack talent to give debuffs to the enemies that can increase the damage produced by allies. This dedicated Lycon also makes the critical damage attack produced by Aventurine bigger. Anyway, Aventurine is a character with a tank role but also has a sub DPS side. He provides strong defense and a fairly noticeable attack. However, like some existing characters, I feel Aventurine has several shortcomings, including, firstly, it's important to note that Aventurine requires a significant defensive boost to be fully optimized. If you've been playing this game for a while, you probably don't find it difficult to maximize your kit. However, if you're new to the game, you will need to spend some time farming to find the best relic. Ideally, you will want to aim for 4000 defense to get the 40-80% critical rate bonus. Some of you might be wondering, how do we build Aventurine with a critical rate and damage? Can it produce more damage? I've actually received questions defense like this many times, and my advice is that a full defense build for Aventurine is the best option right now. Brightwin.gg shows that if we make Aventurine with full defense, it can make the Aventurine kit more optimal. The shield is more robust and the damage output is also greater. Okay, the second thing to keep in mind is that if you want to pair this character with Acheron, you will need his dedicated light cone, inherently unjust destiny, because it will help Acheron get her stack faster. There's a free-to-play option called Trend of Universal Market, but I suggest using it with at least Superimpose 5. If you only use Superimpose 1, the defense is quite small, only 16%, so I don't recommend it. The last thing I see as a drawback to this character is that Aventurine doesn't have the ability to taunt the enemy. It's true that the Preservation doesn't have to have a taunt ability, but because Aventurine's kit can counterattack faster if he is attacked, this is quite annoying. Without the ability to taunt, there's a greater chance that other character in the party will be attacked by the enemy, which could result in loss if the enemy deals a lot of damage. Apart from the 3 drawbacks I've already highlighted, there are plenty of advantages to Aventurine. As I mentioned at the outset, the positives far outweigh the negatives. So if you decided to take this character on, you will have plenty to look forward to, as Aventurine is a long-term character that you can have. Okay, now so you can consider taking these characters. So right now, I will give you some pros and cons of these 2 characters. First, Acheron. Acheron has incredible damage output, deals full damage to single targets and also areas that combine the effects of erudition and hunt at the same time. Probably the most absurd self-buff in the game, as it can increase damage up to 1.6 times if you pair it with 2 Nihility characters in the team. Having the ability to ignore weakness and 20% resistance during ultimate makes this character very universal. Doesn't want or need the help of Harmony characters that other teams usually need, such as Hyper Carry teams, before Eidolons 2. Has a technique that can defeat enemies instantly without entering the fight. Also, her kit will get better as new units appear. But like any other character, she also has some cons on her. First, to get the most out of her traces, you will want to pair it with 2 other Nihility characters. This might not be the best fit for low-level players or free-to-play players. There are only a few free-to-play light cone options. Also, you will need a dedicated light cone to make the most of the boost. It's quite different from the light cone in the free version. It would be great if there were a sustain that could debuff to help add stacks to her ultimate. And lastly, the best teammate option outside of Pelas is a 5-star character. Now let's move on to Aventurine. Aventurine has excellent and consistent shielding, strong team resistance to crowd control and debuffs, has a good damage output as path preservation character, a very SP positive and flexible, strong debuffs on his ultimate, and he is best character for team follow-up attack. But he also has some cons on him. The signature light cone is great for dealing the most damage, applying a strong debuff only to a single target, and lastly, it's best to get hit by the enemy to speed up getting the follow-up attack. However, there's no way to taunt the enemy unless you use a Jeopard's light cone. Okay guys, I think that's all for now. What do you think? Who would you choose on the next banner? Please leave on the comments down below. Thanks for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video.